releases coming. So it's just very unfortunate and sad that a lot of these people had these high hopes and just this idea, right, and this long-term picture, and it just, again, like I said, a lot of them didn't even make it a year, and probably to no fault of their own. I did see a couple brief reportings that some of the talent cuts from today were due to not being vaccinated. Again, not 100% sure if that's true and if that's the case, or what the policy is going to be going forward. And again, I don't know if it's just an issue of, since it does vary state by state and seemingly by the country at this point in different countries, and especially since they're looking to continue touring. And I'm pretty sure now that I said that their UK tour is coming up soon, because I know that they were just advertising Cesaro versus Walter, which is going to be kick-ass matches over in the UK. But I'm not entirely sure when that is. But I'm not entirely sure, speaking of that, what the protocols and the restrictions for all that is. And again, that I'm not even sure if that really truly had anything to do with it, but there were some speculations coming out that maybe 2 to 3 or maybe even 4 of the talents that were released were due to vaccine issues or vaccination issues. So that may be something to look at going forward too, which kind of sucks because it just shows again how this pandemic is just continuously affecting us all, which just sucks. I'm not going to get into one side or the other, who's right, who's wrong, but because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who's right and who's wrong. It just sucks all the way around. But to kind of wrap it up here and shine a little bit more light and some pros and cons, again, it is kind of a downer, right? And a negative that like I said, a lot of these guys and gals can't play out their WWE lives as they want it, and a lot of them are cut short for no real reason and no fault of their own. And when you really look at it, it's just, for instance, like Eva Marie. Why was she even brought back to begin with? You put all this in, regardless of all any type of justification you can do. You put the time and the money and the equipment, right? All that time filming her vignettes and filming her comeback, and it wasn't just like a 1 week thing. Like, I want to say it was a full month, over maybe a month and a half of vignettes that we got for her. So, and those things take time, right? You have to get your crew, regardless of if it's on site at the performance center or wherever it's at. You still have to put the time and the money and the investment into filming all of that. It's not just a quick one-off, obviously. So for them to do all that, have her make her debut, her return with Dewdrop and everything, and I guess we should have seen it as a sign at that point, right? With the whole dropping of the Dewdrop story to begin with, and I guess maybe it's a good thing that they broke them off now, so Dewdrop wasn't kind of maybe just tasseled along with Eva Marie in this sad bunch of releases, but it's just flabbergasting. Anyway, and again, I'm not even sitting here like that upset because, again, I'm not, as a human being, right? Of course you don't want to see anyone lose their job, but I'm not gonna, lose sleep over Eva Marie because her thing was never to be a wrestler to begin with. Her gimmick from before was showing up and not wrestling. So again, I don't really know what WWE expected when you bring someone back and literally have them do the same thing. I don't know if they expected a different outcome, but how long did you expect that to play out? So again, it's probably even no fault to her own. And kudos to her. I mean, none of us would say that we would turn down X amount of money, however much she got, right? Regardless if she signed on for 3 years and she lasted 8 months, 10 months. She still got I'm sure, a nice little paycheck from them. And, hey, I can't fault her for that at all. But one of the interesting things here to note also is the difference in the contracts that you hold between being a NXT superstar and a main roster talent, because we all know the 90-day compete clauses pretty much are a thing with every WWE contract that you have if you're a talent, but NXT wrestlers only have the 30-day non-compete. So guys or talent, I'll say, who are released today, who have the NXT wrestler contracts, I believe, they should be released and from that non-compete clause by December 4th, so early December, Whereas the 90-day non-competes, I believe, will be released from that clause around the beginning of February, maybe February 2nd at that point, which sounds like forever from now. But if you think about it, when you look at, for instance, like a Bray Wyatt, who was released this year, he's free. At this point, he can do whatever he wants. So we can see him show up anywhere, any day. And just thinking, again, with all the talent that is still out there that have been released from WWE this year itself, that still haven't been picked up, like your Braun Strowmans and your Bray Wyatts, it's, everyone can't go to AEW, guys. Like, yes, like, in the perfect world, Tony Khan would sign the majority of the talent that's released. Because, again, I think the distinction here to make too is that, yes, not everyone should go to AEW, but with the flexibility and the freedom that has been created in the independent, I guess you call it the independent world, right? But it's just, well, I don't even know the proper term to think of, thinking about it now, to call all of the other wrestling companies out there, because it's amazing to think of like an AEW, for instance, as an independent company, even though they, I guess, technically are, but that's a whole other topic for another day and another distinction. But with the freedom that we've seen with a AEW and an Impact and a New Japan, you don't have to have all the talent go straight to AEW. I think a lot of the talent it would be nice to see them go to Impact and help build that roster. And especially with, this unfortunate happenings with ROH, and maybe, this could be another silver lining and a blessing in disguise, because all of this talent by that point, if Ring of Honor's tentative schedule does play out correctly, for instance, your guys and your gals with your 90-day non-compete, if their time up and that is around truly the beginning of February, that would put them within 2 months from ROH's anticipated return being in April. Now, that's being in a perfect world that everything works out with ROH and they are able to make their return and all that good stuff, but they're releasing all of their talent, right? So you still have today's group of unfortunate releases, and then the whole bunch that's going to be effective, I believe, in December for ROH after they have their Final Battle pay-per-view. So you're going to have a shit ton of talent just sitting out there. So again, another reason why it's impossible for AEW to sign every one of them. So this could end up being a good sign for Ring of Honor if you think about it time-wise, because once February comes, they can legally go into talks and in negotiations with the talent that's released starting today, and not to mention the talent that's already been released and some talent maybe by that point who hasn't been picked up yet. But yes, it sucks for everyone, but it could be a blessing in disguise. And like we've already seen for a lot of talent that has been released this year, for instance, like your Andrades, or who asked for their release, like, that is an important distinction as well. And Andrade is one of those guys who asked for his release. But we've seen what he's been able to do, especially recently, him versus Cody, that's going to be something to keep your eye on going forward, and that's going to continue to heat up. But your Malachi Blacks and everyone like that. So it sucks, but I think the main picture and the main focus here is just what the hell WWE is doing and how this can't continue, right? I think that's why part of me feels kind of stupid for being shocked, because I was shocked when Bray was released. That one still kind of hits home to me because he was a big star and a big deal for them. And yeah, there's reports that, he was a pain to deal with behind the scenes and all that bullshit, but who isn't, right? Like, Austin's gone on record saying he was a pain to deal with in the past. Triple H was. Like, I think once you get to a certain level, you should stand up for yourself and you should say certain things to your character, right? And like a Charlotte Flair, for instance, like there's reports that she's, trying to throw her weight around, and whatever's true or not, regardless, I think once you get to a certain level in any field, you have a right to stand up for yourself, and of course do it with respect and common courtesy, especially when you're dealing with your direct employer. But I don't know, until we hear, I think, especially Wyndham's side of all that in regards to that in particular, I'm not going to hold any type of judgment on that. Because, again, you being a company and Vince himself, they pick and choose who they want to work with and what attitudes they want to deal with. So I think a lot of it's just taking the easy way out, which is kind of just shitty at this point. It just kind of, again, makes you not it takes the fun out of watching at some point, and you try to, again, before I wrap up here, you try to not let outside events really affect you when you watch it, because the whole point of watching wrestling is to escape from reality, right? That's the whole point. We watch it, we try to invest in storylines and just kind of just go into this different world where the real world doesn't really matter. But when you're watching your shows, and for instance, you've been seeing these video packages for an Aleister Black, just build up and you're like, yes, like I'm ready to see him come back, and you're invested. He comes back and then he's cut. That sucks. You at this point, if it's not a Roman Reigns or a Seth Rollins or a Becky Lynch, it's like you're kind of even leery to get invested in anyone, and that's why I say it kind of takes the fun out of it. But of course, I'm going to continue watching. It's just ingrained in me as a human being at this point. I don't know what I would do without wrestling, so yeah, I'm going to continue to watch it. But it's just one of those things where it's like you can't just continue to give them a free pass at this point, and it's like, how much money do you really need too? You're a billionaire. You're a billion-dollar company, but I don't know, guys. It is what it is. At this point, there's nothing we can do as fans but support the wrestlers who are released. Once they have t-shirts that go on ProWrestlingTees.com or anything like that, just support them in any way we can, and not just be assholes to them or anything like that, or hound them or anything like that, and not just reach out to them immediately and try to get an interview and stuff like that. It's sad that some of them had to release in some of their posts, like, just give them time before asking for interviews and stuff like that. Just, like, kind of remember, too, they're human beings, and yes, like, some of them, even if they did ask for their release, or they may be happy that they're free now, it still sucks. Like, you're still out of a job. They still have guaranteed money, so just remember they're human beings, and yeah, it's just try to just stay positive, guys. It's one of those things where you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, but I don't know. It was kind of shocking to say the least, and hopefully this is it. Hopefully they've met whatever bottom line and whatever budget that they felt like they needed to cut to, and at this point. So I don't know, but at this point, like I said before, and I hope I'm not putting a jinx out there, but I don't really know how many more releases and how much more talent they can get rid of before they really truly have no one left. So, and mind you, Raw is still 3 hours every week, guys. They did not cut us a break and use that as a budget cut either. They're still trucking along every Monday night for I'll censor myself there, for 3 hours. So there's still that, but just a quick jump on here, guys, just to kind of touch base on the releases and just try to figure out and just maybe talk out what the hell is happening here and what possibly they could be thinking of. But let me know what you guys think, and like I said, hopefully this is it. Hopefully they're done and they met whatever quota they felt like they needed to meet. But again, thanks for listening, guys. Feel free to let me know what you think on Twitter at ASHMANNS, or shoot me an email at kickashman@gmail.com. But stay safe. Hopefully this is it for a little while, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Stay safe.